January 5th, 2022, Executive Committee, public hearing to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the December 1st, 2021 meeting as submitted.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. And I'm going to step back here a minute. Mr. Burns, would you do the roll call, please?
Absolutely. Jackson Bogan,
Present.
Larry Leverins, Jerry Reynolds,
Here.
Gary Schroeder,
Here.
Tom Murtaugh,
Here.
Greg Jones,
Here.
Kathy Parker.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you, sir. No new business. On to the public hearing, which I get to read the meeting procedures. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the Commission would like you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we are only concerned as to the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments, provide us with the information regarding any subdivision petitions will be given the opportunity to do so. We are a 7-member body and the majority of 7 is 4. Regardless of how many commissioners are actually present, at least 4 votes in favor or 4 against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 4 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. When addressing the Commission, please state your name and address for the record. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes, and we ask that you not repeat what others before you have already said. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before using your phone. All exhibits presented to the Commission become the property of the Commission.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, Unified Subdivision Ordinance, a comprehensive plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the applications to be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Subdivisions.
I move to hear and vote on S 5047 Concord Plaza Subdivision replat of Lot 1, Phase 1, minor sketch.
I second.
Kathy?
Let me try that again. Hello?
Yep,
I'm
you're good.
on? Okay, thanks. Petitioner's property is located here on the east side of Promenade Parkway, just south of Veterans Memorial Parkway. It is zoned general business. There's a Walmart just to the east. Foxfire Apartments are further to the west. Here's a look at the aerial photograph for the property. And a closer look. You can see the existing strip center here, and they're basically just dividing that bottom portion off so that it can be sold separately or get a building permit for another property or another building. There's not a whole lot to this. Setbacks shown are correct. No buffering is required. City utilities serve the site. There is an existing driveway for both lots 1B and lot 1A off of Promenade. And there are 3 conditions, and we are recommending conditional primary approval.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions? Petitioner? If you would, sir, if you could. Sorry, no worries. Name and address for the record, please.
I think if you push the button there on the microphone. There you go.
We just like hearing you say your name.
Mark Hennessy at 1330 Win Henschel Boulevard in West Lafayette. And we agree with the staff's report and just ask you for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Hennessy. Any questions? Looks like you're going to have a lot of opposition today. All right, with that, we have our subdivision ballot, and bonding was not requested, correct? Thank you.
Yes.
I'll get these. Are these all of them over there? Yep. Thank you. I could use a clock too, please.
Ryan give up his job.
Push the button, sir.
You got distracted.
Yeah.
We have 6 votes in favor of conditional primary approval for Concord Plaza subdivision replat of Lot 1. If we can't laugh, what can we do?
Just sometimes you gotta do it all, isn't it?
Approval of the January APC public hearing agenda.
I move the following subdivision petitions be placed on the January 19th, 2022 Area Plan Commission Public Hearing Agenda at petitioner's request. Placement thereon being without reference to compliance or noncompliance with the adopted subdivision ordinance. S 5050 Auto Zone Number 5535 subdivision, a replat of Lot 6. Meyer Number 186 subdivision, minor sketch, and S 5051 Churchwoods major subdivision, major preliminary.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries.
I move the following rezoning petitions be placed on the January 19th, 2022 Area Plan Commission Public Hearing Agenda. Z 2845 Jetboy LLC, GB to I-3 and Z 2846 Bonita Munzo AA to A.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Approval of the January ABZA public hearing agenda.
I move the following petition be placed on the January 26th, 2022 Area Board of Zoning Appeals Public Hearing Agenda. BZA 2069 Wabash Lofts LLC.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Determination of variances.
I move the following request for variance from Unified Zoning Ordinance is not a request for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. Case 2022-01, Rick D. and Kathy L. Gordon. Case 2022-2, KRM Architecture / Katie Jawalski. Case 2022-03, Nova Lafayette LLC. Case 2022-04, Trees Meadows LLC by David Gillum, and Case 2022-05, KJY Investments LLC, 800 Main Street LLC.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Review and approval of the December budget report.
I move we approve the December budget report as submitted.
Any comments?
Nope.
We have a motion and a second. Request approval of the December budget. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. No other new business? Mr. Schroeder?
Move to adjourn.
Well done, all.
One down.
So
Yeah.
this is an area that
Wait,
how long do
I
we
don't
have to
that
wait in
ordinance.
between? Or can
I
we
don't
just,
have that one.
Oh, I just got picked back up. You'll get one.
okay, I didn't know. So as long as we exceed whatever the time,
I asked for it.
so if exec would have nothing, then
Am I
take
on
1
the
minute.
app?
Gotcha.
They
Yep.
told me to wait.
There we go.
Thank
So
you.
we don't get confused.
Yeah. I
Thank
got
you.
mine, thanks.
Yeah, I was with you. I thought that, and a lot of my opinions came from
Good thing
your
about
thought,
this
and after
one
I
is
thought
we
about,
don't
or
have to-
your comments about having to prove that
o'clock.
somebody is
Oh, it can't?
not
Because that's the time
a
I
resident
Whether we get done,
on
if we
vacation
would,
temporarily
20 minutes of it?
or because
no,
my property.
no, it's, no, it's only 4:30.
Oh,
See, if
right.
sometimes
I
this
forgot.
will take an hour,
Oh, Lord.
40 minutes. Then this comes out.
Need signed?
It only lasts till
No worries.
the meeting.
No worries at all.
Well, I think you're right.
Okay.
They must not
Very
have played
good.
that very well. I'm going to be interested to talk to some of the people that were in there,
One night we spent it
because I'm surprised they weren't able to
1 o'clock
make
I just-
one COVID
on a regular
excuse.
meeting.
Hey.
I mean,
But it's.
I'm not an attorney, but I would. Why, oh, that's exactly why we were doing it.
Yeah, you betcha.
Wow.
Let's see, so, let's just take yours, right? Or do you have the secretary?
Thursday, yes.
Dave has to.
Dave does, it. Okay.
Yep. Just wanted to be close to you, Jerry.
Yeah, well, looks like you got your hands full.
Tom, is there discussion still about digital signatures on these? Or a digital signature for the county? Any of
So
that?
you could use digital signatures for certain things. I don't know if it's permitted for recordable things or not. Do you happen to know that?
Yeah, you can actually do an awful lot. I don't know about plats. But you can do an awful lot without wet ink in recording these days.
Yeah.
And I've kind of avoided it, just because I know what I know. But our office has transitioned, and our staff has started doing it, which is great,
Hey,
because it makes some sense.
If you don't like it, you can be replaced.
Absolutely. I'm gonna walk out and protest.
Yeah.
Oh, I
In fact,
thought you
we
were
might-
talking to me. I was like, come on, baby.
Fire me,
I
fire me.
was talking to you. In fact, in a month or two, we are.
I was gonna say, actually,
Exactly.
technically I am.
He's overstaying. I don't know.
But we did do that
Yeah, we did it.
where a commissioner can sign or something. Yeah.
We did it where, and we did it for this exact reason, because we knew Larry's, and it happened last year, we knew Larry's gonna be gone for a couple months, and then I happened to be gone, and there was something that needed signed, so I think you ran down and signed it, or one of the it's labeled as the commissioners. And so that was signed. Yeah, we did that last year. Okay. There is that piece. Shall we go ahead and start? We'll go ahead and call the Ordinance, APC Ordinance Committee, January 5th meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes from the December 1st, 2021 meeting as submitted.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. And we're on to two minor changes from the administrative officers.
Yes, hopefully this won't take that long. So we talked about this briefly at the December meeting. The first item was licensed medical professionals and how currently they are not permitted to be a home occupation in the zoning ordinance. For whatever reason, they are prohibited. And actually it says, I've got it right there in that box on the left side. Oh, you guys, can you see this? Yep. Oh, okay. So currently a physician, dentist, et cetera, is prohibited. So we have had a couple of calls from particularly massage therapists over the years who would really like to do their work out of their home. And we have had to tell them, no, I'm sorry, it's not permitted. So we would like to change that. And what's proposed, we would eliminate, this is slightly different than last month. We would eliminate the prohibition language altogether and just add this sentence to the permitted home occupations: an office of a licensed medical professional with no more than one treatment room. So,
And they are, in fact, licensed.
yes, the people we've talked to have been licensed massage therapists. Now, if you want to add state licensed, we could do that.
Well, that was my question. That's what we're relying on, is the
Yes.
definition of licensed medical professional under state code.
Right.
I think we're fine without adding it, because you just refer
Okay.
to state code.
Okay, so just as is?
I think it's fine, yeah.
Okay.
If that's our intention, because it's a big, long list,
Yes.
much longer than that.
And
Yes.
is medical clearly defined? Because, like, what about a tattoo artist? Would that be considered? They're now licensed?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I don't think they're considered a medical professional.
Okay.
So it's got to hit two things. Number one, it's got to hit medical, defined as medical profession, and then two, also be licensed within that profession.
Correct.
Okay. And the idea with the no more than one treatment room, obviously, is to make it so that we don't have a practice out of the middle of a neighborhood.
Exactly, right.
I like it.
Although Tom raises an interesting point about tattoos, is there any way that they might claim that they're licensed and can operate? I'm not familiar with tattoo artists.
They are actually licensed.
They are
They're
licensed.
licensed, but,
Are they deemed to be a medical professional?
No. And that's why going back to the state definition, you're going to find a very long list, not going to include tattooing. And so it may be helpful for everybody to know what that list is.
okay.
A list of
Looking it up
medical
now.
or list of licensed?
Medical.
Okay,
Yeah,
list
It's
list
under
of
Secretary of State,
what's considered medical. Is that what you're
and
at?
they have an actual list of it. And I'm trying to find that now.
We could add that to this,
I mean, you can add state to make it very specific.
yeah,
As long as that's the term used, I don't have a problem with it. But I'm just thinking that maybe to print out a list for people of what it actually covers, because it's a pretty big list, not surprising, but big list.
Do we want it to refer to the state?
yeah.
Can't hurt.
We could
One
change
more
it
word.
I mean,
to,
before we vote on it, might we want
Yeah.
to see that list?
oh, okay.
I mean, I think it would be a little, what's the word? I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with it, but I think we at least need to view it before everybody says, yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, so table this until next month, and I'll bring you that list.
Yeah, I think it'll be a cleanup item, take a couple minutes.
Okay.
If you could email that list to
Oh,
all
sure.
of us so that we don't have to review it, and then we can make it super snappy
Yeah.
next month. Is anybody, and then I want to clarify, is anybody waiting on this today? Are we delaying
No.
somebody a month?
I don't think so. Are you aware of any? Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Good.
I think even if we are, sometimes in the past, we get in a hurry and we maybe don't do it right, and then it's hard to come back and clean that up. I'd rather wait. I would think that everything on that list is okay, but now's the time to review, as Tom said, so there's no miscommunication, misunderstanding.
If you would email that to all of us so we can
Yep,
do this expeditiously next month.
okay, I will do that.
And then you're going to add state to that, correct?
And, yeah, I will.
Okay.
We'll make it a state licensed
Okay.
medical professional. We could even at that point add parentheses with, per the state,
Yeah, reference state license,
And
okay.
then that'll track that if that changes. then
Yeah.
That would automatically change for us, obviously. Goes
Yeah.
along with whatever the state decides. What's
Yeah.
that?
in the future.
Yeah, but even if that's good, but even if they would, we still have the right to amend
Sure.
Oh, sure.
ours at a later point in time, so.
Plus, the state doesn't license a tattoo artist. That's done locally.
Oh, really? Yeah,
They don't.
Right. That's done by
Department of
our,
Health, local.
yeah. Look at that.
Okay, good. So we'll just table that for now, no motion. I'll just make those changes that we talked about, and I'll send the
You need a
list.
motion to table it?
I don't
I
know.
don't think so, because we're not voting on anything.
Okay.
Counselor, do we need a motion to?
No, you're just going to
Okay.
take it by consent. It's put on the next agenda item, or next agenda, excuse me.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect.
Okay. The second minor item to discuss is self-storage warehouse businesses. Remember, the city in particular was upset by the Coca-Cola bottling plant, which is a Art Deco type of building. It was actually on the news. TV18 did a story on it. It's now been turned into a self-storage warehouse, and it's lost a lot of the Art Deco touches that made it a historic building. Anyway, so to avoid that happening in the future, the city wanted to prohibit self-storage warehouse businesses in the urbanized area. And I think last month we decided that's a step too far. That was what I took from our meeting. So this proposal would still allow them in urbanized areas, but they would have to get a special exception. So there would be one other meeting people could come to and speak.
I'm sure I should know this, but if they get a special exception and the building burns,
Mhm.
do they get to put it back as it was?
Ooh, if the building
Because this becomes an
burns.
issue for us lenders.
Well, for example, if you get a special exception for this use and you wanted to expand it, you would have to come back and get a new special exception. Expand your hours, expand the footprint of the building. If the building were to burn to the ground, yeah,
'cause
I
you're-
guess you could rebuild it as.
Because you're not conforming.
Yeah,
You're conforming.
right, you've already got approval.
I just know there's one of those where it's like, yeah.
Did you hear Ryan? You may not have heard him. Making the distinction is correct. A grandfathering structure. Right. It burns down, it's done. Grandfather's gone. Grandfather's died.
Yeah, and you have a site plan attached to the special exception permit, so you could rebuild
Right.
per that site plan only. If you exceed that, then you have to go back to the ZBA for a new site plan. Does that make sense?
Would it have to be built to the same historical,
I mean, the site plan is usually.
from the aesthetic standpoint, is that it?
Yeah, right, it's just the footprint of the building.
It's just the footprint, so
Yeah.
then it could be a true self-storage facility. I mean,
Yeah.
beautiful,
Right. And unless perhaps it was in a local historic district, one of Lafayette's local historic districts, then it would have to go through that.
I think it looks
Filter.
great.
I think the point of requiring the special exception at the beginning is we can look at it and say, well, wait a second, this is a historic building. Perhaps this is not the best reuse of this.
Yeah.
And then that would be discussed at the BCA
City
meeting.
elected officials could come to the hearing for or
Right.
against.
Okay.
The public could,
Does the petitioner have any right, just a curiosity question, let's say the city doesn't like it, and petitioner wants to do it, city doesn't like it, so who does this go before?
The Board of
AO?
Zoning Appeals,
Board, okay,
Steve Clevenger and his buddies.
okay. Okay, that's what I need to know. All right.
Or Lafayette's.
Or Lafayette.
No, Lafayette,
Oh.
That's still heard by our Board of Zoning
Oh,
Appeals.
they don't hear any special exceptions?
No,
Oh,
they
I didn't
only
know
hear
that.
variances.
Lafayette only hears, yeah.
They only hear
Variances.
variances. Oh, okay. Huh.
Okay.
I was just going to clarify to answer your question, I proposed that change, I wanted it to go to the Lafayette City, but evidently it can't be accomplished through a variance, so it has to come to the county board, but still a public hearing
Okay.
that everybody can hear.
Yeah, my apologies if I'm rehashing, I was
Nope,
not here
nope,
last month.
you're-
Oh,
And-
that's right.
And the city would have appointments to that board.
Yes, oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Any questions with moving number 2 along? Comments, concerns?
I don't know if this is appropriate, but whether we move this along or talk about self-storage, maybe this is time. Did we pass something in the county where you could not build self-storage in the county?
We did.
I think we
APC
restricted
did.
it in the agricultural zones.
Yeah, we did it in the A zone.
We're just
Yeah.
the A zone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was the one out.
And that came out of that request we had that was
Wildcat Creek down.
just right there on the creek
Yeah.
at 100.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, next to a farmhouse. It was a little unique.
Gotcha, I just couldn't remember why, and then it seemed there's a demand for self-storage. I'm not sure that I understand that business.
Well, and when I was reviewing the minutes, because I was at conference last month, but when I was reviewing the minutes, though, it was like, wow, if we don't do them in the urbanized area, and then you can't do them in ag, where can you do them?
It would be
Yeah,
very
so,
restricted,
yeah,
Right
yeah.
next to the windmills.
How about in the base of the winter?
Yeah. Okay. All good? So do you need a motion?
Yeah.
I guess we'll need a motion to the new wording or proposed changes to the self-storage warehouse businesses as notated on the screen.
I'd say so moved.
A motion, anybody second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of moving this along to the full APC? Is that right? Goes to the full APC? Signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
I'll probably wait and file this once we've got this other thing figured out, so,
I like that.
yeah. All right.
Thank you. Citizens' comments, grievances. Steve, you got anything you want to talk about? All right.
I know nobody's in a hurry to leave, but I think Ryan talked about at the last meeting the removal of the moratorium for building, and I've had some questions asked that I really can't answer about that, just about how did that come about, and how did that get released, and, you know, kind of what were the goals, were our goals met, and do we anticipate more moratoriums in the future?
Well, it was it was never a resolution passed by any council. It was essentially an item where, leading up to kind of the fall 2019, we had numerous projects that landed during that time period. Based on their approvals and their construction timelines, they all kind of coalesced in the summer and fall of 19. And so what happened is the city sort of experienced kind of the largest surge of units at any one time in its history on the multifamily side, mostly student apartment side. And so in sort of an abundance of caution kind of leading up to that, you know, in our reporting, you know, in these student rental studies, we were encouraged in conversations with some city council folks, city staff, that, you know, there's always a fear of saturating the market, you know, that even though Purdue is certainly growing strong and almost hit 50,000 students this fall, it'll likely cross that threshold next year, or this year. Out of an abundance of caution, maybe we'll pull back on, you know, massive projects until these projects that landed in 19 have made their big splash in the market, have had a couple of years of, you know, use, and have adjusted their rents to fit the reality on the ground. And if vacancies remain low, then that's a good sign that they've joined the market and we can now move on. If all the fundamentals serving that market are still strong. And so what we've discovered since 2019 and since the pandemic was that, you know, their vacancies stayed pretty darn strong, you know, and they were very low, still highly desirable. Purdue's fundamentals, as everyone knows, have been continuing to grow. So these units are getting filled, and we've not seen, you know, any great fluctuations in like the suburban areas. You know, in fact, in the West Lafayette side, the suburban vacancies have actually dropped, and they're about almost equal with the more urban census tracts now. So that kind of shows the vacancies in the outlying areas of West Lafayette's census tract areas have also filled up. And that would correspond to the housing rush that's been going on, it's, you know, as well. Because a lot of this vacancy data is tied to just, you know, the Postal Service and its quarterly samples that it takes of census tracts of just residential, commercial, and industrial. So it doesn't discriminate between a rental unit or a single-family home that's owned and occupied by the owner. So, but that's what we have to go on. And moreover, the city has actually done a really good job of sort of polling some of the complexes in the core areas, asking, you know, directly, you know, from them, can they provide, you know, what's your vacancy rate at the beginning of the fall? And we figure if we cast the net big enough and get a big enough sample, that kind of speaks to what's happening as a way to sort of augment the data we've collected from HUD. So anyway, we put all that in the hopper, and it looks like, you know, now that we're kind of over, you know, a lot of the, you know, the restrictive time of the pandemic and all the rest, and Purdue emerged, you know, fall 21 even stronger, that, you know, that kind of spoke to there's probably no need to keep any major restrictions in place, and that and now, especially since the downtown plan's been adopted, we can return back to those policy requirements in the downtown plan and move ahead with new projects. And so to that end, there are areas in that plan that support high-rise development. And so that's why we felt that there's no reason to continue it unless someone can give us some other compelling evidence, but I don't have any. So we felt comfortable making that recommendation. Certainly if City Council disagrees for whatever reason, they're certainly free to debate that and pass a resolution, and, you know, we as staff will, you know, kind of serve that. So, make sense?
Thank you.
Sure.
So to synopsize that, there never was a formal moratorium. It was more an informal policy communicated from West Lafayette towards the development community saying, that's enough, let's wait and see how this goes. At this point, we're hearing from West Lafayette that they're comfortable. Again, there never was a moratorium, but they're comfortable entertaining new projects, with one caveat being that they not be strictly monolithic student apartments, but that they also have other mix of uses so that they're serving not just the student body, but the town of West Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
So the media presented Ryan's report in a way as though Ryan has released this moratorium. And the blogosphere did too, and we've gotten
I
phone
don't have
calls.
that kind of power.
Yeah. But that's not really what it does. It's a lessening of what had been an informal policy.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I remembered, was it more was initiated by West Lafayette.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they saw these big projects coming through the construction pipeline, and they're just like, oh, wait, they're all going to open on the same day, more or less. You know, maybe we should take a breather, you know, and then, so that's what we did. So if conditions that led to that decision to maybe take a pause, especially as we get requests for pre-submission meetings for plan developments negotiated, that it sort of falls into the negotiations that, well, right now the city's not comfortable moving ahead with this as a negotiated project. For these reasons, we feel the market's perhaps saturated, Purdue's population might be leveling off, all those things that feed into what grows the market. If those conditions were to turn sour as we monitor them year in, year out, well, then our professional recommendation might change. We might say, oh, well, you know, Purdue's kind of turning off the spigot, not enrolling as many as they used to. That'll have a ripple effect, you know, and so, but that's not happening, so. And the reality is we have nearly 50,000 students and, you know, about 13,000 on-campus beds. They got to go somewhere.
right. Thank you. That makes more sense. It came from West Lafayette. Thank you, Ryan.
Well, I'll take that motion. Oh, time out.
Quickly, we have a new person. Amanda Esposito, right here, is our new planner, and she just started yesterday, and she's back, and she's completed 2 full days.
Welcome, Ms. Esposito.
Welcome.
Do you get to attend these wonderful meetings later on? Oh, you're going to love it. Yes. Well, welcome. Glad to have you aboard. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, grievances?
Move to adjourn.